All right, and we are live. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. This is the Lone Chemist Podcast. My name is Johnny. I am the Lonely Chemist. I mean, the Lone Chemist, Freudian slip. And so I am really excited. So I'm kind of making my way into the Film Hub YouTube sphere. So I've interviewed a couple people on that podcast, and here's somebody that I've been a fan of for quite a long time. And actually recently, before this podcast, I was telling him that he actually invigorated one of my loves of a certain musical group, Brockhampton, with one of his videos. I have, without further ado, Bailey from, he's one half of Breaking Banter. And then are you the whole half of Loverboy Media?
Yeah, the whole half of Loverboy Media. So
Got it.
Gig that's completely solo, yes.
Nice, man. Well, like I said, I've been a fan for a long time, and you're a creator that I've been watching for a good amount of time. But I only recently really got into your content. I always was a casual watcher, and then I saw your Loverboy Media stuff, and I was like, all right, this guy is clearly talented, and he's somebody that makes me also, on one hand, feel very fulfilled by what I want to do with my channel, and also really fucking jealous because you make fucking awesome stuff, and I'm like, God damn it! I wish that I made that, But yeah, man, like I said, I'll keep sucking your dick for the next hour and a half. But you
That's why I turned up. Cheers, man. Cheers. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for the new channel, because that's been like a passion project thing for a while, and I wanted to start doing video essays on Breaking Banter, but it just wasn't fitting into that kind of content, the review content. So I was like, I got to put this somewhere else. So it's had a pretty good response so far, considering that's only been up for like a month and a half or something. But
sure.
But yeah, good stuff. And thanks for having me on, man. I've only really started interacting online like in the last couple of weeks or whatever. But yeah, content's pretty banging as well. Thanos video last night.
Oh, really? So what'd you think?
Yeah, big fan of it. Anyone who has not checked that out right now, go and check it out, because it really sold me on Thanos is actually amazing. So yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing with the Thanos video, it's like, so, I mean, I think I'm a little more sympathetic to Marvel than you are, just in talking and stuff. I'm a big fan of the MCU because I'm a big comic book nerd from back in the day. But as a person who loves film, I'll be the first to tell you that not a movie they have made is perfect. I'm not one of the Snyder people that will defend everything the guy's done as genius. But I do have a kind of a soft spot for the characters, and so I've always been just craving, they do a great job of motivating their heroes, but they just have not done a good job with their villains. And so when I saw Thanos, in the comic book, he's kind of like a you challenge me, boy.
He's one of those, yeah.
Yeah, the big bads that are just kind of brooding and not really anything special to latch onto. And also you can make the argument that he's kind of just an immature lover boy, sorry to throw shade at your name, but I'm sorry, he's a guy who's trying to fall in love with death and basically prove his worthiness to the embodiment of death. And so when you have that idea of being obsessed with death in the comics being a literal representation of wanting to actually get your dick inside of death, it's that comes across as just kind of silly.
It would never have worked. There is no way that would have worked. I'm so glad they didn't go that route, because that would have just been nah. No, casual audiences could not have taken that. No way. No way.
Yeah, exactly. And so when I made that video, I really sat down and I thought about it. I was like, shit, they did justice to the comics that I love, and that's how I was inspired by. But they did some kind of original take in a way where it doesn't bastardize the character. It makes it even more compelling when you really think about it, because what does he want to do? He wants to kill all of humanity, and it's because he's obsessed with death, but not because he's in love with death, because he truly believes that what he will do will save the world, which is the hallmark of a good villain is if you look at their point of view, they become the hero of the story in their eyes, and that's something that's missing from pretty much every single Marvel movie. So
exactly.
But thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. I'm pretty self-deprecating, so any compliment I can get, it's a nice change of pace.
Oh, that's right. I'm pretty sure all of us YouTubers are. We're so used to being knocked down by other people that we just, after a while, just slowly fall into it ourselves and are yeah, I am trash. I make trash content, and it's nah. We're all working hard.
Dude, I posted my Adam McKay video essay on Reddit, and this guy, I'm pretty sure that he only watched about 45 seconds of the video, because he said, So you started the video saying that, the most exciting filmmaker to Quentin Tarantino are these two directors. But then you say yours is Adam McKay, and you say he's very iconic. This seems very jarring when you think about it. What's the point of this essay? And I'm like, if you watch the other 9 minutes of it, like...
That's it, man. They don't watch the whole thing. There's so much of not watching the whole thing, and they start having something like, what? What? I've made the whole... Why are you doing this to me? Yeah, there's not much you can do about it.
Like, and it's like, I'm not like a nerd writer. Like, why is coffee so amazing? Like that kind of shit. I literally lay at the point as clearly as I can, as quick as I can. You just have to watch the 9 minutes of it. And I'm like, dude, like, I answer all the questions you're fucking putting. Just watch the video. If you're going to criticize me, that's fine. But at least reference the entire thing. But
yeah, the amount of stuff you get where someone like starts jumping in on like, just going hard on one point. You're like, hey, 30 seconds after I made that point, it's fleshed out and it covers everything. That's why I never feel compelled to like reply to that type of stuff, because I'm like, the video has done the work. Like so much stuff now I have people like, especially reviews, man. Reviews all the time. People will ask a question, they'll be like, so do you reckon I'll like it? Or stuff like that. And you're like, I'm not going there. I made it pretty clear in the video. That's the entire point of the video.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that, or just asking questions about, and it's like, I try to be as comprehensive as possible, or as articulate as possible, to get a point across straight away. And there's just too many questions that I've covered. You know what I mean? You don't have time to like reply to everyone. So
Another thing too, it's like with video editing, a lot of it is so redundant too. Like having to listen to your fucking voiceover 25 times when you go over one little clip and like reanimating stuff, and it's like, I'm already been redundant for making this whole thing. I don't want to be fucking redundant and referencing the thing that I was redundant about. It's like,
nah, big vibes on that. Yeah, I get you.
All right.
The tedium, I tell you.
For sure. All right. So just generally about you, you're obviously someone that I look up to a lot for being a content creator that like I kind of latched onto with the Brockhampton video, with your Dark Knight video and Shrek video. What got you started into just general entertainment critique? And I guess a more apt question is like, do you have another job besides YouTube? Do you do this as a hobby? Is it a full-time gig for you? I mean, what's the deal?
My deal with this is kind of, it's strange talking about it, because there's so many people that I've met like in the last year or so, since I've really been using Twitter and stuff. Like, I've always been big, and I talk to a lot of content creators who like don't watch a lot of YouTube. Like, they don't actually watch a lot of stuff. Whereas any chance I get, like if I'm eating or I'm like cooking or washing the dishes or anything, if I'm vacuuming the house, I'm always watching other content.
Oh yeah.
So I absorb the content. It's crazy. Like when I talk about it now, I've been on YouTube for like 4 years now.
Oh wow.
Which when you look at it, it's like, wow, I've had a really slow growth period in 4 years. But like, it's weird talking about when you see these people who have like started like in 6 months and they're at like 500K or whatever, and you're like, how did you do it? Teach me your ways. But I basically got into it because I do Breaking Banter with works at like part-time at a cinema. So we were just seeing movies all the time, right? And at some point it was just like, why don't we try that YouTube thing? Like, why don't we just try as like a side thing? Why don't we just try this YouTube thing? So we started reviewing movies, and our early videos, like, most people go on about like, oh, my early videos were trash. Ours are like broken. Like our first like 50 videos we did, like because we're both, Jay's an actor and I'm a director, and so the technical understanding of how anything worked was not there. The editing skills were not there. Our like sound for like our first 100 videos is clipping into another dimension. and like it was stuff that was like, we had someone else come in one day and was like, why don't you just turn the mic down? And I was like, oh, how? Just basic stuff like that. So we were just seeing all these movies. We were getting like $1 tickets. So we just started like, we're like, if we're seeing all this stuff, we might as well talk about it. So it was like a hobby early on while we were still at university doing film. And then after a while, because he works at a cinema, he became like a manager. He started having contacts with like Disney, Universal, like all the what do you call it, distributors. And then they were like, hey, we don't have any like young critics doing this. You want to start coming to our like preview screenings?
Oh, wow.
We were like, holy shit. Yes. we get to see everything early. Yes, so we just straight on that. And yeah, so we're just reviewing for a while. The channel's not really growing, and one day Jay's like, "Hey, why don't we try to do like this thing where people watch movie trailers live?" I'm like, "Okay, cool, give that a shot." And views fucking exploded. Like we were struggling to get like over 500 views per video,
Yeah.
and then it just like our views exploded. We're starting to get like 5K, 15K, 25. It just started going up. And we got into this rhythm of just doing trailer reactions like all the time, and we do the reviews in between, and the channel was just, it was popping at the time. But the thing is, like, I never really liked that content that much. Like, it's fun to do, but I don't watch anything, and I sit there like, I don't make any, I'm not, like the reaction games are all about like, oh, it's so good, like losing your shit type of thing, and like, you've got to like externally project what you're feeling inside, so it's not fake. You're just having to externalize the process of watching stuff. And people were just watching the reaction part. We talked for like 10 minutes after about what we thought the movie was going to be like, who's working on it, trying to work out how it's going to be. No one was watching that stuff. And so after a while, like at the beginning of this year, I just said like Jay got into Whopper, which is like a super prestigious acting school. Like it's where Hugh Jackman went.
Wow.
So he got into that, and we knew that he wasn't going to be around much this year. And I was like, I got to help the reaction stuff. Like in the Australian time zone, we're like 12 hours roughly behind the US, between 12 and 15 hours. And so all the trailers are dropping at like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. It's exhausting. And I just couldn't do it any longer. So I was like, I want to start doing essay content. That's what I'd always wanted to do, was like inform people and get people excited about movies.
Yeah.
Because it's fun. It's fun. Everyone loves trashing on movies sometimes, right? Like you gotta love. You have your movies. Like for me, one of mine is Justice League. I could rip that movie every day for the rest of my life. I hate it so much, but I don't want to keep like spreading that like all the time. Like as fun as it is to like rip on stuff, I wanted to start talking positive about movies that I liked. And so yeah, that's where the idea for starting this new channel came. I was doing all the why I love videos on Breaking Banter to begin with, and then I got to the fourth one, the Brockhampton one, and I was like, this needs its own space, because like you're doing reviews that take 5 hours, and then these videos that take like the Dark Knight one took me like it was ran about somewhere between 80 to 90 hours, I think, all up.
Yeah.
And I was like, it got less views than the video I posted straight after that was a review, and I was like, I don't care if they get less views starting on a new channel. I just need them in their own space.
Yeah, for sure.
Like where
I hear you.
Where I don't feel depressed looking at them getting less views. So yeah, so that's where I'm at now. But I also work. I work on Saturdays and Sundays at IKEA. I've been there for like 8 years, man. I've been there since I was 14.
Oh wow.
It's crazy. But yeah, that's what I do. So I pretty much do it full time now. But it's not like YouTube revenue is the most reliable thing. So I've still got the weekend job because of it.
Yeah, I gotcha. Hold on a second. I'm changing my camera because we're lagging like a motherfucker over here. So let me just
okay.
Yeah, let me change it real quick.
Oh, good.
All right, there you go. Now I'm on my shitty low budge camera, but it's okay. What's up, dude?
That's okay, because mine's also we're both in the same zone now. That's so good. That's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like a rough thing of my story of how I kind of got to where I am now. But like I never really expected to be like I consider myself now, like I hate the term, but I would consider myself now a YouTuber.
Yeah.
And like I never really expected that I was going to be here doing it for this long, this unsuccessfully. But I didn't really expect, because I have the filmmaking background, and like I'm only just now getting back into writing and directing and assistant directing on other people's films and stuff. So it's kind of weird now coming back to that after like I'm too deep into the YouTube thing now to stop. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like
exactly.
I need the validation now. Like I could not possibly stop myself until I get to 100K, and who knows if that's ever going to happen. I could be like 60 still, like I'll get there one day. But
it's going to happen, man. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Come on.
Oh, hopefully at some point. I'm trying to just play the next couple of videos right and play into us stuff that will get traction. People like their controversy, and I'm not particularly making controversial content right now, so
yeah, for sure.
It's a hard thing, especially as well. Like as we've established, I'm not huge on the MCU, so it's like, what else do I talk about?
So let's talk about it. As a fan of the MCU. All right, so So you like my Thanos video, which thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. So what's your grab at the MCU? Just like the
No, it's not great. See, here's the thing. I love MCU content on YouTube. I watch a lot of MCU content.
Okay.
A lot of people have done some great stuff. Movies with Mikey is one of my favorite channels. I love that stuff. All of the guys on Hub Group all does MCU stuff. I love that. But and it's just I don't get what a lot of people talk about from their movies when I watch them. Like I think they're almost all good. Like I'm in the rare spectrum where like I like Thor: The Dark World. I like Ant-Man and the Wasp. I like Iron Man 2. Even the worst stuff, I all think it's okay. I just don't think any of it's like none of it's hitting that like Spider-Man 2 level or like
okay, sure. As a person, I love the Raimi movies, so I completely agree with you for sure.
It's for me like, and I also have like a really different way of like watching movies in general. Just in the last year, I've kind of started to try to gauge how, when I'm reviewing movies, like being able to translate the way I process stuff back to a casual viewer. Because like for me, it's story first, right? But like if you look at like my Prisoner of Azkaban video, that's so much of the way I look at movies is like that creative storytelling. Like that's everything to me.
Yeah.
When I'm watching a movie, like how it doesn't feel like cinema or does it feel like kind of I don't know. It's like a weird thing. Like I want to get as much as everyone else is getting from the MCU movies, but they all kind of there's like this inconsequential feeling to a lot of them where like stuff doesn't really count. It just doesn't feel like. So have you seen the Spider-Verse yet? No spoilers for people. I'm not going to spoil stuff.
Yeah.
But so that movie straight up like early on is just like anything can happen in this universe.
Yep.
And yeah, it's the type of thing where I'm sure they'll be able to double back on stuff and all that. But like, it was immediately that feeling of like, holy shit, they did that straight up. I don't know if have you seen it yet? Yeah, I've seen it.
I have seen it, and honestly, like, in terms of a Spider-Man tale, I think it's probably the best in Spider-Man 2, the Raimi film. Like,
yeah, sure.
and like honestly, like. I won't say it's better than Spider-Man 2, the Raimi film, but I think that like it comes really fucking close in such a weird way too. It's like
they're like neck and neck, but because I feel like because they're different almost mediums, I get to like be able to separate them. I don't feel like I have to make them compete.
Exactly.
Which is good. But yeah, I don't know, man. The MCU thing, like I don't ever want to feel like I've got some stigma against MCU because when I review their movies, it's always like, oh. But there's a part of like I get caught up in the hype of how much other people seem to love them, and then in that first week I'm like, oh, it's the best thing ever, and then it just slowly dissipates into like I would not basically put it this way, I would not think about MCU movies if they weren't the pop culture phenomenon they were.
Okay, sure.
Which is almost like
That's
I feel
fair.
like a lot of people would be in the same boat, but like I wouldn't talk about them if I wasn't talking to people talking about them all the time. You know what I mean?
No,
Not in the same
totally
way
agree.
that I talk about Star Wars. Like I talk about Star Wars anyway because I feel that way about Star Wars, but not,
I don't like Star Wars at all. To be honest
That's
with
not
you.
good. And it's totally, man, I don't even like Star Wars that much. I like certain parts of it, and I like talking about the lore and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I really clicked into how much I like talking about Star Wars until The Last Jedi, which is a red zone for the podcast, so we won't talk about that any further. But yeah, that was like, I don't know. I love talking about that movie, even though I don't completely love it. I've never really had that from an MCU movie.
No, honestly, like I prefer you actually like were honest and say like, okay, I don't find like that much enjoyment in it, which is totally fine. And like as I said like before the podcast, like I am an MCU fanboy. I was a fucking comic book dork. I was bound to be a virgin until college, so I got a girlfriend. What's up, Sarah? I hope you're watching. How you doing? But like yeah. By the way, I love my girlfriend. I love you, babe. Sorry. Yeah, like. Like basically, like I love
flex.
No, it's not a flex. I'm trying to make sure I'm doing damage control while I'm on the podcast.
Okay, that's good.
But you know what I mean? Where it's like, so like I love those stories. I love those comics, and I'm very much in the camp of Alex from High Top Films, where like he is in love with those stories and those characters and those sentiments he has. But he'll be the first to say that none of those movies are perfect. Like none of them.
Yeah,
and I will say the same thing. Like I think none of them are perfect. I think Infinity War is the most transcendent experience you will get from the MCU, but even that's not perfect. Captain America is terrible in that film. Thor's emotional arc is good, but it slows down the entire arc of the movie, like when he's trying to go to Niveldir. But like, you know, put it this way, I find the least amount of problems in Infinity War than I would with any other MCU film, because I feel like that one, even though it's such a weird film and it's like it's so tightly wound as a storytelling medium, it is the most succinct in terms of like, okay, we spent a little bit of time with this character, then that character. It's almost like a Game of Thrones episode almost, where it's like every single transition to different people, it makes sense in the story when you actually think about it, like just from a third party perspective. But I agree with you, like, you know, I enjoy the movies. I enjoy them all, but like none of them are like high art. And I feel like Infinity War is the closest it comes to that, but even that is way below like a cinematic masterpiece. But but like as you watch my video, I still hold that like the screenplay for Infinity War took a lot of talent and a lot of vigor to actually write.
I would never. That's part of why when I reviewed it, I was like so much more positive than I feel like I'd usually be. With MCU movies, because like by no means should they have been able to pull this off to any like
did.
even a 10th of the degree that they did. So like from that point, I respect the movie way more than I enjoy it. Like as an achievement, I get around that way more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. The easiest way for me to actually explain, like now that I think about it, to explain my like if people like I just don't get why he doesn't dig the MCU as much. The easiest way to explain it is that my favorite MCU movie is still Iron Man 1.
Yeah.
And I feel like that almost explains what my thing is in and of itself. That's self-contained. That's, I don't know, that's for me, like, it's still the best for me.
No, for sure.
Nothing is past.
And the thing that really pissed me off about that is like, so I agree, like in terms of like a quality film, that comes the closest that it is to like, you know, okay, this is a great film. I think Infinity War and Iron Man for me are pretty much tied, but like I would say that Iron Man, like, yeah. But I will say that like the problems that were in Iron Man propagated for the entire MCU, because basically the producers saw the success that Iron Man had. So what do? They had an emotionally charged villain who had a lot of great backstory. They had a villain that kind of sucked and was shoehorned in. They had a romantic, tepid love interest that didn't really come to fruition until like probably halfway through the story. It's like all those problems, and like, you know, for all of Iron Man's faults, I think it's like a viscerally complete movie and fantastic. But it's like, you know, all the problems that it exhibited back in 2007 or 8 when it came out, like like they're still present in the MCU until Infinity War, where they actually made the villain the main character, which was just a version of expectations for me.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, they did, I think, you know, between that and Black Panther this year, they were like, where I was like, okay, we're on the right track now. Because I'm one of the few people who really didn't, I feel like it's one of the few people who really did not get around Thor Ragnarok. So like for me, I was like, after that, and people like praising it being super creative and stuff, and I was like,
it's standard.
I was like, it's not. I was sitting there like, people are nuts for Ragnarok, and I'm like, okay, I get so much of what people are saying, but it's like, it's not. This is what you think creativity is. Go back and watch Spider-Man 2 again and then get back to me. Like, I was kind of stunned by the response to it. So, I don't know, like, MCU, I don't know. I'm always excited for the movies going forward. I think I'm more excited for Endgame than I've ever been for any Marvel movie ever, because I know this one, like, there's no turning back from shit. Like, anything that goes down in this movie is real. Everything's authentic.
I agree.
Yeah, so I don't know. Going forward, that's what I'm about. I don't really care. But I'm not huge on the superhero stuff in general. I'd rather just like, I don't really go through the hype cycle. I'd rather just be like,
good
turn
movie
up on the day, and if it's good, then I'll get behind it. And that's how I am for most movies anyway. Like, I don't watch movie trailers, so I don't have that hype cycle for most stuff. I see it all anyway. So I'd rather be excited about it after the fact. Which is a weird thing in like today's online kind of community, because it's all about the hype cycle, and then afterwards no one talks about it.
No, for sure. All right, so let's get on a different hype cycle then. So, like, you know, we can circle back to the Infinity War stuff. But before we get into like some chat stuff, I want to ask you. So you got into my contact list from Alex. What's up, buddy? How you doing? He tweeted out my Adam McKay video essay. Then you watched and you like somewhat enjoyed, so you subbed and liked my video.
Yeah, I dug that one, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. I worked hard on that one. That was I think of all the videos that I made, that's the one that I'm like most proud of. Where it's like, okay, I made the most cogent argument in this one as opposed to my other ones. Like, I feel like the Thanos one's a little bit overlong. Even though people seem to enjoy it and stuff, and like, I I don't know.
I think that's a topic that needs like I think Adam McKay is severely underappreciated. I'm
Exactly.
seeing Vice on Wednesday, and like the jump to The Big Short was like that's one of the greatest cinematic leaps I've ever seen. So your thesis of that video just from the get go, I was like, yes, 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 yes.
Yeah,
Major appreciation.
and dude, it's like, so when I first saw that movie, I legitimately had no idea who directed it. I like the entire film. I don't, and like I'm like you. I try and stay away from like fucking trailers for the most part. I don't like to like spoil the way that I react to a movie. And I watch it and I'm like, this is like the coolest movie. What did Taika Waititi make this? Did fucking Wes Anderson make this? I'm like, this is so quirky in like the weirdest way. And then when the credits rolled, directed by Adam McKay, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm like, I didn't know that Adam McKay was this intelligent and this insightful. I'm like, what the fuck? So, like, I go back and I watch his movies, and this is probably like 2015 when I first saw it, and I was like, holy shit! Like, even though this is so different in terms of quality, like his films actually allude to the fact that he's a political junkie. Like you know, he pokes fun at certain aspects of American culture in every single movie that he makes. Like before Step Brothers, for example, he has a George Bush quote. Before Talladega Nights, he has Eleanor Roosevelt quote. He talks about, you know, corruption and the pension fund release scandal that was in New York and like the other guys. So it's like in all these movies he has actually politically charged content. And so now, like the topic I want to talk about, he's actually making political satire with Vice. So what do you think about that movie? Because I saw the poll that you put on Twitter. Yeah.
Well, no, so I haven't seen it just yet. I haven't seen it yet. It should be on Wednesday that I'm going to end up. I'm probably going to choose it over Aquaman, to be honest.
Dude.
I haven't even watched the trailer for it, to be honest. I've been tracking the project since it was originally called like Backseat.
Backseat, yeah.
It was the initial title. So Jay's actually seen it already, and I'm pretty sure it's his favorite movie of the year, or at least in the top 3. He was like, he was losing his shit over it. He was like, it's everything that Big Short was, but just done better with a better team. Because it's got the composer from Moonlight as well.
Dude, okay, have you heard the score yet?
No, I don't listen to that stuff before, but he was like, man, it's amazing.
So I do have an exception for that. I try not to watch trailers, but I will listen to scores before I go into the movie because I just want to see how the tone is going to be.
Yeah.
That's the only teaser that I'll give myself. The score is so fucking cool. It's like the most interesting fucking score ever. It's unreal.
That's what Jay said.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm just... It was one of those movies, like, I didn't even realize it was coming out this year. So when I did my most anticipated list of like movies this year, I was like... There was actually so much that I missed. There was like Buster Scruggs I didn't know was coming out this year. Like there was a whole bunch of other ones. I was like looking at my list with all this shit packed in there. Like I was like, why is Aquaman on the list if we have a new Adam McKay film and a new Coens? But anyway, man, I'm honestly like, it's one that I'm like hyped through the roof to see. Like I missed a screening like 2 weeks ago because I was working on that day, and I'm devastated because I just want to see it so bad.
Yeah, me too.
I honestly. I love the subject matter. I haven't watched the trailer, but I watched like there was like I might have just been the opening of the trailer, just the bit with Sam Rockwell and Christian Bale going back and forth as George Bush and Dick Cheney. And I was like that. I was like, I could watch this just for the performances. Like this could be the biggest piece of shit movie, and I could just watch it for like these guys going back and forth. And like, oh man, yeah, I'm so keen, so keen.
All right, so. And like I said, I'm not a big fan of trailers either, but on this one, I caved. It gives no context for the movie. You learn nothing about the film.
That's what I was told, yeah.
And honestly, it may serve you well because the use of the fucking song in the trailer is honestly, like I think it's probably the best trailer I've ever seen. And just the fact the movie's getting fucking praise reviews is just like, you know, thank God it's not overselling or underselling. Like. Yeah. Like I would recommend you watch it at least at some point. If you want to be completely blind, do that. But like it is a genius fucking put together trailer. Like whoever edited
I tend to
absolute genius.
When I edit the videos, I watch the trailers anyway. Because I have to like for just dropping all the footage and stuff. And there's that many trailers where I'm like, oh, I kind of wish I'd seen this one like before the movie. Yeah. Just because like obviously I don't like having. It's more the fact that I don't like on a shot to shot basis, and I have to have the images in my head because then like I'm going through. And examples like there was a Marvel one, it was Rogue One, which is something I watched the trailers for, and then I was like the whole way I'm like, all right, well I haven't gone here and done this yet, so I'm waiting for this now. And then you just the whole way through the movie, it's like kind of eliminates tension in certain scenes. Because my brain doesn't shut off, I have to review, so I'm always like firing on all cylinders like that anyway.
I agree.
But yeah, no, I'll check that out after the fact. But yeah, I'm probably gonna end up seeing it on Wednesday.
Oh my
Which
god.
just
I'll be tweeting at you pretty much all day to get your fucking thoughts on it because like I legitimately that's my most anticipated movie of the year. Like I knew that like Adam McKay was doing a Dick Cheney movie, and as soon as I saw the first image of Christian Bale as Dick Cheney, like
the first step photo, I was like, what the fuck? How is that man's body still working?
dude,
It's crazy.
And he's skinny now too.
Yeah, he's gone back to like normal again straight away. I'm like,
No,
man,
no,
whoever
no.
his dietitian.
He's not normal now. He's even skinnier than he started. It's like, how? How is he alive? Like
I wonder how long he can keep doing it for, because he was told the Ferrari movie where he played like the dude who like the CEO or like the guy who invented the Ferrari or whatever. And he said no to that movie because the weight gain was too much. And then straight away he turned around and like jumped on doing backseat straight away. And I was like, okay. Or like Vice jumped on doing Vice straight away. And I was like, this man is out of control. He loves that self-punishment. He just has a supreme amount of self-loathing. I'm just gonna eat nothing but McDonald's and pies and soda just for the
or the machinist, half a can of tuna,
half a can of tuna and an apple.
Yeah, half a can of tuna, a pack of Marbreds every single day, apple and black coffee, and I'm like,
yeah.
Fuck, man, like that's that's punishing. What do you think of method acting? To be honest, and now they're on the subject, like, because your boy on Breaking Banter, he's a big actor, right?
Yeah. So it's such a broad term. Like, I think the way that people understand, because of the way it's talked about online and in articles and stuff, is so limited. You know, the way that we look at that style of acting. I think a lot of actors do it to a degree. Like, obviously, you've got your Chris Pratt movie star types that are going to turn up and they're selling themselves on being Chris Pratt. You know what I mean? They're selling themselves on, so they're going to turn up and they just kind of are doing variations of the same thing in every role. But like, I don't know. I don't really have any thoughts on it. Like, as a director, the ideal situation, especially at like an entry level, is you want to have actors that can just jump straight into it, because you're working super fast. It's super, super strenuous, and it's always like that no matter what level you're doing. But your support network as a you know, a younger director with a limited budget is way more hectic. So like, you want to have actors that are in the zone but are also like flexible. Like, I feel like at my level it'd be a nightmare having Daniel Day-Lewis on set, like in character as Abraham Lincoln the entire time, because you'd be like, yo, all right, so I got an idea for this, and it'd be so limited.
Well, I didn't get the letter with my pen and quill.
Yeah, exactly. I've got to like hand write everything to him. I've got to address him by Mr. President. Like, that's kind of inconvenient. But I don't know. It depends on. I feel like at a professional level, all actors have found a way to make that style of performance work in a film environment. Because obviously on stage it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? If you'd have your rehearsal process and you slowly get the character together, and then you just get it for the entire time. But when you're doing the film thing, I think it's interesting. I think there's a shitty stigma around it in terms of like getting awards for, you know, the awards run. With like, it was the whole thing. I think a lot of attention was drawn to it after Jared Leto's Suicide Squad thing, because it was all the thing about like, sending like fucked stuff to the cast.
Use First of all, use condoms. The Joker doesn't care about sex. He's not gonna fucking like use a used condom. No. What the fuck? Like,
no, it's just fucked up. Like, I'm a big fan of Jared Leto. He's like a star icon. I love the guy. He's cool as fuck. But then he does shit like that, and I'm like, what are you doing?
I know.
What do you, so there's that weird trade-off where I think a lot of people like to talk about it. And there's the guys that there's the actresses and the actors that actually do it. You know what I mean? Like the Tilda Swintons that go out and like actually, it's like the real deal. The Christian Bales that do the, so I don't know. I think it makes the performance almost more impressive when you have that context behind it. But the scaling of how we understand it's a bit all over the place. I don't know. What about you?
So I think like you kind of hit the nail on the head where it's like, okay, so there are method actors that like they will just do things to like, you know, almost convince other people that they're subsuming the role that they're trying to
Yeah.
convey. Like the Jared Leto thing, I know for a fact he didn't actually believe he was the fucking Joker. He was trying to get fucking attention for it. I know that. But there are people, method actors. Like, for example, I think Bradley Cooper is a method actor, doesn't get a lot of credit. Like, for American Sniper.
American Sniper, yeah.
I listened to an interview with him, and he literally, he actually to a T described method acting, or at least the way that I think we should perceive method acting. So like someone asked him, you're like, like 5'10", and Chris Kyle is like, 6'2". How could you even hope to play this guy? And he said like, I lifted more weight and I ate more protein than I possibly could. I had to get to the point where when I looked in the mirror, I believed that I was him. And honestly, like that's the way we should view it. Not like doing fucked up shit and trying to fuck with your co-stars. It's like you're doing something singularly to actually convince yourself that, okay, I can suspend disbelief for long enough to try and become the person that I'm trying to convey, I think that's the way that you should really view it. Not like this whole it seems like this culture of method acting, it's become more tepid over time, but there are some actors out there that like Bradley Cooper, like I said, is underrated. Christian Bale obviously is a huge one. Daniel Day-Lewis, which he's done now, but he was a big one. Like for My Left Foot, I think for like 4 or 5 months he tried to only use his feet when he was trying to do things, which is crazy. Tilda Swinton, like all these people are like, they're really talented actors, but I do hope that like people don't mistake method acting for like quality acting, because it also takes a person who's able to manipulate their emotions enough to actually have a great emotion charged performance. It doesn't, just because you use pen and quill for 6 months only means that you're gonna have a great performance. It's not exactly.
It makes for like a great set story, and when they'd go on and doing like the actors roundtables, the interviews leading up to award season, whatever, it's like it makes for interesting stories. And there's always like there's so much stuff about the set for Lincoln with Daniel Day-Lewis that's just so interesting.
Yeah,
like it makes for great stories. But like I think to a degree, actors also have to earn the right to be able to operate in that kind of way. Like you couldn't come on as like a first time actor and be like, right, well, I'm doing it. I'm going to be in character the entire time. You're going to address me as so-and-so. It's like, you've got to kind of earn that type of thing. And I think it does definitely take a toll on like who wins awards for acting in certain years. Cause as much as like, I look back at 2013, I'm like, Jared Leto was great in Dallas Buyers Club. I totally bought him, but why does Michael Fassbender not have the Oscar that year? 12 Years a Slave. I keep looking back at that and I'm like, okay, so he's very much like he can jump in and out between takes and he's really easy to work with in that type of way. But I'm like, the method acting narrative around Jared Leto took over that year, and that's what got him here. And exactly. He was amazing. I don't want to understate how
great actor, great acting performance for sure.
In that movie, he's amazing, but it's like I still look back at 2013. And I'm like, I cannot believe Michael Fassbender did not win that year. You know what I mean? It's like because of the narrative that they surround the stuff with a lot. You see it happen every year though, so I've kind of just resigned to it. I'm like, that's how it happens, I guess.
Yeah. Method acting is like it's. I feel like people view it as more of like an actual method than a tool. I think it should be called I don't know, subversive acting or submersion acting, something like that, where it's like it's not like method acting should complement your performance. It shouldn't be the only thing guiding your performance. And I'm not saying that Christian Bale or not Christian Bale, Jared Leto only is method acting. He's a very talented actor. I mean, he's doing some amazing stuff. But when you have somebody that didn't do the method acting prep, 12 Years a Slave for Michael Fassbender, even with Steve Jobs, he was incredible. When you have somebody that just does regular accent prep and physique building, that's almost even more impressive. The fact that they didn't have to embody the character so much where they have to believe they're them. They're just so talented at manipulating emotion and conveying things that they actually are better at doing that than someone who didn't do that. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I find it's such an interesting thing to look at and see how different people talk about it in different ways. It's really weird, especially looking back at stuff in the early 2000s and the 90s. Someone like Russell Crowe used to classified himself as going method for stuff, and yet you listen to his accents and stuff, and there's a big difference between whatever he was doing, whatever someone like Daniel Day-Lewis is doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree. So I wanted to ask, so looking for 2019, this has been kind of a slow year for movies. I feel like, there are a lot of Oscar bait movies that come out right now. Like Green Book is one that I haven't seen, but that one's coming out, or already came out, I think, with Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali. The two that I'm really looking forward to are, well, actually just one, to be honest with you, is Vice. I'm really pumped for Vice. I don't really give a fuck about Aquaman, to be completely honest with you. But I already saw in the Spider-Verse. For 2019, what's your film that like you've really like had your sights set on and you're like, I'm fucking watching that. I can't wait.
It's weird because 2019 currently doesn't have a lot of names. So my anticipation for movies comes from who's making them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 2019 doesn't really have a lot of big names that are obvious to me yet. So like this going into this year, I had like a new Ryan Coogler movie. I had more than anything, I had a new Steve McQueen movie with Widows, and I had a new Quaron movie with Roma. And it's my two favorite filmmakers with a film in the same year. I've also got new movies from Damien Chazelle with First Man. We had If Beale Street Could Talk, which is still coming up.
Also, what did you think about First Man, by the way?
I loved it more than I can put into words.
Really?
As far as I'm concerned, he's 3 for 3 in terms, or like I haven't seen Madeline on the Park Bench, but I don't know if that really counts because it's a thesis film.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I liked it. I don't know, like it wasn't as emotionally impactful for me. Like I think Whiplash is his masterpiece. Like, but I think La La Land is just as good. But like Whiplash for me, like really resonated to the point where like I still think about it to this day. It didn't hit as hard for me as Whiplash and La La Land did, but I still liked it like a lot. Like and Ryan Gosling was good. A little more detached emotionally than I was expecting from a performance from him. But I still liked it for sure. Yeah.
Yes, no, it's interesting because a lot of people have had that same response. And for sure, there's definitely a degree of me going into it wanting. It's like I would have been pushing myself super hard through it to like engage. But I don't know. A lot of people don't engage with performances that are that, like muted because Ryan Gosling is seriously dialed back. For me, it was just I've seen it twice, and the second time I watched it was a fucking mess from the start.
Really?
Knowing how, like, without like giving away how it goes, obviously it holds all like everything in until that one scene.
Yeah.
Like towards the end, and it drops. And then I went back and watched it, and knowing the context of that the second time, I was like, from scenes early on, just the way he's communicating stuff, and I was like, oh my God, my heart, like knowing the context behind. So it's a weird one like that. I don't know. I loved it just as much as I've loved his other two. But yeah, back to the anticipation. Like I was trying to do a list. Actually, I got a list here because I got to do my actual video of like most anticipated movies of next year. And let me just have a look because I didn't have a lot for next year, man. Like there's honestly not a lot that like has got me fired up. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is the obvious one.
Oh yeah.
With Tarantino's new one is obvious. The pairing of, regardless of the entire project being super exciting, the fact that we have like pretty much two of the last actual movie stars that draw box office. We have DiCaprio, and like DiCaprio acting now is an event.
Yeah.
After The Revenant, like he will now do it for the rest of his life where like people do not turn up because it's him. He's like the last real movie star. Like Tom Cruise is as well, but Tom Cruise could make Jack Reacher and no one really turned up.
Yeah, but DiCaprio's acting ability is like he's a movie star. Yes, I agree, he's a leading man, but like his quality of acting is so far above all the other.
Like that. Yeah. There's nothing like that. Like
sure.
We haven't had anyone like that who is like, so as I said, like Chris Pratt probably, or like Robert Downey Jr. probably. They're like people turn up for them. They're not on his level of like skill. Like they're not. He's a completely different ballpark. So seeing him and Brad Pitt together is like that's a combination I cannot wait to see.
And dude, the cast for that movie, just generally,
the whole cast, the entire cast is like, I cannot believe they've got all that together. It's getting insane.
Yeah. And also tying together Quentin Tarantino's script for all those people to play with is going to be just ridiculous. I can't wait.
I cannot imagine a reality in which that movie is anything less than spectacular. Like I wasn't a huge fan of The Hateful Eight. I love it, so I love it, but I didn't love it as much as like Django Unchained or Inglourious Basterds or a lot of the other stuff he's done.
Yeah.
But like I highly doubt this won't be something incredible. So there's that. I'm super keen for Knives Out for Ryan Johnson's next movie.
Hmm.
May well, there's a lot of reasons, but I'm a huge Daniel Craig fan.
Yeah, me too.
Um, I think Daniel Craig is. It's such a shame that he doesn't act more. He demands so much fucking money. But it's that's honestly what it is half the time. And you hear that he's been like signed on for something, and then he pulls out because they didn't pay him enough, and it's like, bro, we
Yeah, I
need
know.
more of you. Like, did you see Logan Lucky?
I didn't, but I heard it was fantastic though.
That was one of the best performances I think I've ever seen in my life from him. In like the minimum amount of time he gets was like
Yeah.
insane. So I'm super keen for Knives Out. And look, unfortunately, I feel like the movie I'm most excited for next year. I say this unfortunately, but is Episode 9, Star Wars Episode 9. And I try not to let blockbusters hit the top of my list like that. But by no means, like, just from the sheer fact of like I so my excitement for movies isn't always like I expect it to be good, so I'm excited for it. It's like I just want to know what the fuck they're gonna do. They are in such a corner right now.
We got to talk about The Last Jedi. Like after I tell you my most anticipated, it's
Yeah,
Hollywood for sure. That's my number
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Avengers Endgame because like
It's up there for me as well,
so
man,
so,
yeah.
so Infinity War again comic book fan like the fact that
Yeah.
they made such an incredible standalone film on the backs of all these franchises that are in Marvel. Like, this could make or break how I feel about fucking Infinity War because like if this movie sucks and like literally it's just like, oh wait a minute, I got the gauntlet now, snap, like, and everything's undone. That's gonna take away the emotional reaction that I had to that movie in the first place. So like
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, so those are my two, and like everything else is gonna be background noise. But the Ryan Johnson movie will be pretty good. But
John Wick 3 is the other one. I'm super keen for the third John Wick movie.
oh yeah, well, I mean those are like honestly like they're a guilty pleasure, but they're a quality guilty pleasure.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the action, the cinematography in that movie is just top 10. Like it's incredible.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
so
so there's
good.
that. There's a couple like that next year where I'm like, yeah, they're not like movies that I'd usually be like all about, but it's just something, they're a lot of guilty pleasure ones that I'm kind of excited for. Again, as you said, quality guilty pleasure. Like I don't have no issue with saying to people, I love John Wick.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's
hard not to.
it's just so good. All right, so we got to talk about the Last Jedi and Star Wars because like I'm not a huge Star Wars guy, but like I watch all the main movies. Obviously, I'm not like woke on the extended universe. The Last Jedi. I want to hear your opinion on it first.
Look, I think it's my favorite Star Wars movie. But there's a really like The Last Jedi has been the most interesting process of watching and talking about a movie that I've ever experienced in my life because I walked out of it on the opening night, like a midnight screening, and I watched it and I liked it, right? Like I liked it when I watched it. There was so much that was off about it. And a lot of people walked out on that opening night. And I talked to a lot of people. I just talked to random people. I was in that car park afterwards for like 4 hours or something, just talking to people about it. It was ridiculous. And like for me, I started talking to people and people would say issues that they had with it. And then I'd process it in my head and be like, over the space of like 2 hours, I walked out of the movie being lukewarm to going, holy fuck, that must be one of the best things I've ever seen in my life. And at this stage now, like I've seen it 9 times. I had a half-done video that I wrote on it that I got to the point I was like, here's the thing. I don't think that anyone can accurately say whether The Last Jedi is a good or bad movie because there is not a single element of that movie that could not be perceived either way. Like me actually going through and breaking it down, I've got 20,000 words of notes or something that I took for it. It was fucking ridiculous. Every single element, I took so much down while I was preparing for this video. It's like, holy fuck, I don't think there's anyone that can say anything at any point that could not go the other way. Like me saying, oh, it's good. And then someone else could easily be, no, that's bad. Like it's such a weird thing in like, changing the way I kind of see subjectivity. I don't know, the fact that like a movie could be so utterly divisive on every single element on a second by second basis.
Yeah.
And I just happen to love it. And I think it was a really big risk what they did.
Oh, for sure.
I
It was a
don't
big risk.
I don't know how, in any context, anyone is ever going to make a Star Wars movie that pleases everyone, which is why I'm so excited for Episode 9, because I think they're going to meet people halfway. They're going to have someone rip a Star Destroyer out of the sky and murder a bunch of people, which is, I feel like, what fans want to see. There's a part of me that wanted to see Luke do that.
Yeah.
But I know that what I got from The Last Jedi felt like so much better to me in the end. So I don't know. It's one of those things where I never hold anyone's opinion about it against them, because I totally get why. Yeah. So as a bracer for you, you could turn around right now and say, it's the worst fucking movie I've ever seen.
Trust me. Let me be clear. I don't think it's the worst movie I've ever seen by far. Like not at all. Like, and I'll tell you, there are some things in there, and I'm not a Star Wars fan, to be honest with you. I like the movies. I'm not like super receptive towards them. There are some things in there that are some of the best Star Wars elements, like the entire franchise. The throne room lightsaber sequence with Rey and Luke is one of the best scenes in Star Wars, period. Like it's incredibly well choreographed. The score there is incredible. The CGI is incredible. The light speed sequence with Laura Dern's character, which I have a different problem with that, but the sheer cinematography and the beauty of that instant is absolutely jaw dropping. And unlike other people who watched the movie, I did like the fact that Luke was jaded in the movie, because, like, obviously it's a departure from his character in the other movies. If you've grown up 30 or 40 years and, like, you've seen all your friends either turn on you or die, you're probably going to be pretty jaded. So that kind of makes sense why he would be jaded in that sense. But there was just a lot of plot holes that I just really couldn't get around that movie. I really couldn't. So let me tell you some of my big ones. So, number one, in Episode 7, the whole point is to kill the Star Killer base. And we can have, like, subjective opinions aside about, like, if it's a good plot point or not. That big ass, like, sphere, big Death Star.
Not a great idea, but I get why it's done. I get why every choice in The Force Awakens was made, regardless of how original.
Trust me, I get that. But listen, at the beginning of the movie, there is no reference to the Star Killer base. There is no reprehension that the First Order feels about that big thing. Because think about it. That was essentially, presumably, the stronghold of all the ships in the First Order, right? And they destroy it. At the beginning of the movie, it feels like the First Order, nothing really happened to them. It feels like it's just like they're just as powerful. Okay, another ship is destroyed, whatever. It's fine. So it's either one of two things. Either that was not the big base and they were mistaken, or it was they didn't really give a fuck about it, and it's like, okay, blast out of the sky. We have another one waiting for us a couple light years away and stuff. So that was my first thing. And, like, obviously, I'm a chemist, so, like, science is a big thing for me. So, like, why is gravity in space? Like, why do they drop the bombs? Why don't they fly up in, like, the middle of the spaceship instead of, like, dropping down? That like, shit like that kind of, like, was whatever, but I didn't really care about that. The biggest thing that I think was the problem was, so, number one, Carrie Fisher is dead in real life, and then they resurrect her in the movie, which the whole Force scene was kind of cringy, like when she, like, flies across the space. I mean, I get why they didn't cut her out of the movie completely, because it's disrespectful to have the character cut short because, she dies in real life and the performance is already done, basically. But I would argue that killing her off screen is even more disrespectful than killing her on screen when she's still, alive, presumably at that point, when she's dead. Because, like, what are they going to do now? They're going to have the opening crawl, like Princess Leia is dead, like after the fanfare.
I think they're going to work around. I think they're going to retire her as opposed to, like, she won't die. I think they're going to find a way to retire her. They work around.
But even so, like, and honestly, like, even as sad as it is to cut the performance short or whatever, edit around it, you could use her death as a rallying cry as the reason why the Resistance has to fight the First Order, and, like, actually give her an emotionally charged send off for that reason. She dies and the entire Resistance rallies behind her and puts aside their differences with, like, the purple haired bitch and fucking Poe Dameron and stuff. Like having her death be the reason why they have to fight. And obviously, cutting performance short is terrible, but, like, that's something that, like, that is a legitimate issue for the next movie, where it's like you have this character that, like, she's the only person that survives in that in that theme of let the past die. Han Solo is dead. Fucking Luke is dead at the end of the movie, and so instead of having the entire
Dead.
Oh, okay, dead.
Yeah.
He's a Force goat and he's dust. But, like, you have that theme of let the past die, where, like, basically, they could have actually tied in really nicely if all the old characters from Star Wars died, and then basically these new people are going to subsume the roles that, like, they're given by these people that have, like, left this world. So it's like when you have those people, you have some people die, some people don't, and then you have let the past die. But then at the end of the movie, Leia's going to die anyway. So it's like those inconsistencies didn't really jive for me. But the biggest one that I had a problem with was Kylo Ren. I think that his character was very, very choppy. I think that the fact that he kills Snoke when he doesn't really have a reason to, I feel like him killing Snoke, it was out of character. Like, and the fact that, okay, so at the end of the movie, you know, he fights the entire high command of the First Order and basically kills them all. He offers a chance to not be in the First Order and wants to join with Rey and like say, join the galaxy with me. Then Rey rejects him. And then Kylo rallies behind the ruins of the First Order that he helped create. And then he's going to go and fight Rey. Like, it just seems like those beats of the story, it's like, it just seemed like it was very convoluted. And also another thing was like, the thing with Laura Dern's character and Poe Dameron. Like, it feels like 95 minutes of that movie could have been cut out if those two characters talked to each other. Because like they talk this woman, so they talk this woman up as a genius commander and a brilliant strategist, and then Poe Dameron's presumably one of the best captains in the fleet. And so under new management, you should talk to each other, which you should do in any, you know, occupation, but especially the military when communication is key. So it's like you have those two characters that like don't talk to each other because like some immature shit, and it just seems needlessly vague and convoluted for the story because like, you know, it's a slow crawl, like to stay the distance away from the Star Destroyer, and then you have this random plot point with Rose and Finn and the code breaker, which doesn't really make any sense, to be honest with you. And like the only thing that the journey accomplishes is the fact that Benicio sells them out, and then Captain Phasma dies, and like, you know, it just.
Here's the movie needed another draft, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
There is no way that but here's the thing. So have you done any like writing films before? Have you got any background in actually like writing? Have you ever written a film before?
So not a film, but I have like a draft of like a short story that I want to make into a film one day. Yeah, but yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. So I had a friend who made a film Red Hood fan films, like a DC fan film, and it's up on YouTube. It was quite popular.
Not Alex, someone else? Oh, gotcha.
No, someone else. It's called Red Hood the Fallen. He's a good friend of mine that we work on stuff frequently, and he basically brought me on to help him out writing a sequel to it that it never came to fruition, and there's several reasons why. And the entire process changed my understanding of just how fucking tricky it is to write, not even just a sequel, but just an actual screenplay in general when we're focusing on plot. So I'm a very character-driven writer. I write character-driven stories, right?
Yeah.
And like it just changed the way I looked at like how difficult it is if you want these two plot points, right, that don't correlate at all to work in the same story, how much work you have to do to get them to connect. And The Last Jedi is a movie where I see how hard Rian Johnson had to work to make certain elements he obviously wanted to have, or maybe Disney mandated to have, actually work. So as far as I'm concerned, the Luke thing, Luke being jaded, not his fault. That's J.J. Abrams setting it up with no clear intent and him going, I guarantee that was, from all the behind-the-scenes stuff, I've watched everything. It seems like Rian Johnson walked into that scenario and went, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah.
Because it's not Rian Johnson that made the call to have him be like a Jedi that had gone into exile on a planet with no intention of being found.
But the thing is, I do actually like that plot point. I actually like that.
So do I. But a lot of people have an issue with it. But they're all like, "Fuck Rian Johnson." I'm like, that was J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
What Johnson did is he had to work the best he had with that scenario. There's no way that Rey was going to find him. He had to go, "Oh yeah, I'm going to come back." I think there's a lot of decisions that should have been done differently. So like when she hands him the lightsaber, that being played for comedy, bad idea. He should have turned around and lobbed it.
Yeah.
It should have been not. There was a lot of issues with certain things being played for comedy that undercut
the titty milk. Yeah, when he's drinking the titty milk out of the alien.
I don't have a problem with that. I'm one of the few people who has zero issue with that. I find that incredibly entertaining, and it really sells the fact that this guy has become a total Yoda-style cooker. He goes full Yoda, and not many people like give that any credit. The fact that he's almost Yoda.
That's true.
So there's stuff like that's why it's so good. Yoda's the person that comes and sees him. But look, there's a lot of stuff. So the Holdo thing almost worked. They almost had it to work. There's different ways they could have gone about it to make it work. The issue is at the point that he is about to ruin her entire plan with immunity, she needs to say something. Yeah. That's one of the few points. The 2 points I can't get over, regardless of how much I love the movie, is that Holdo needed to say something at that point because her plan is then put in jeopardy. I get her trying to teach him a lesson, and that it gives Poe a really effective arc going into the movie. Really effective because he's now the new boss. He's now the new leader. Right, so that's super effective now that he's learned that lesson. So that's amazing. But she needed to tell him. The other thing is Luke turning on his lightsaber to go and kill when he's about to kill Kylo.
Yep.
So it's visual, but that was not given enough context. That's the issue I think with most of the movie in all areas is it's nothing's given enough context. So you're like, oh, Luke had a school where he was training Jedi, and then Kylo's going bad. In all the time the movie has, they could have cut out 10 minutes of crap minimum and filled it in with the stuff we needed. So you're saying about the Starkiller base not having it's blown up and they're fine. It's because these movies have worked so hard to not politics in them that bogged down the prequels. If we'd have had a bit of time on the politics of how this world works, how the First Order came into power, I don't care about Snoke's backstory. I do not give a slightest fuck. I never have. I never have cared about Snoke. It's all been about Kylo. Yeah. But if we'd have given a bit of context about the world's operation, a bit of context about how the politics are working, how the First Order is structured, how, why did we go to Canto Bight? Why was it not Rose's? It should have been said on Rose's home planet where she was in slavery while there was a mining. That got brought up, and I was like, why the fuck did we not use that? We should have used that. That was right there, and it would have given us a more compelling narrative. They could have had the kids rise up. That would have been so much more effective. There's tons of that throughout the movie. But yeah, so much of it is about context. So much of it is about the fact that the context is not loaded enough from an actual writing perspective, and that's something I learned. If you're going to have an idea that doesn't necessarily work with this other idea, you have to load the context in every element and not waste your time on anything. And the movie, unfortunately, does waste its time on too many plot points I've got to do this to make this work, but this won't work unless I make this work. That's how it goes. So that's why I'm keen for the next movie. JJ is a more streamlined creator. Chris Terrio is working on the screenplay, which obviously has me concerned because he did BVS and Justice League. But at the end of the day, as far as JJ's never written a bad screenplay. Even Star Trek Into Darkness, for all of its issues, gets the basics right.
Yeah, for sure.
And as long as he holds it together, knowing the fact that the audiences were so against this and so against that, but this worked and this didn't, I think he's going to find the perfect mix and make it. The way I see it, I don't see myself walking out of Episode 9 with it not being my favorite Star Wars movie.
Really?
I don't see them not landing this. I don't see. There's so many. It'd have to be. Someone would have actively had to have really fucked up for it not to be good. Because they know they have the full picture now. They've tried 4 movies. They know what people want. They know what they don't want. They know that people don't want anything, pretty much. They know they're going to lose no matter what. So they're going to have to pick. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird feeling to me, but I don't see them not landing this. You've got so many elements in play that haven't been used, so many character things to be. You've got the fact that Kylo Ren is aware how bad he fucked up in this last movie. You have the fact that Rey does not want to help him anymore. It's that from a pure setup perspective, having a villain going into a movie now most likely wanting to be the good guy, and the good guy not wanting them to be that. I think that as a pure setup on its own is I don't think I've really seen that before. I don't think I've seen anything like that.
Yeah. It's they start.
And there was, as you said, a lot of issues with Kylo Ren getting him to that point.
Yeah.
But the position he's now in.
Interesting. Yeah, it is.
as people have said, Star Wars, it hasn't been original in these new movies. There's no way what we get next is not something we haven't seen before. I don't think there's anyone at this stage now who could say, oh, I expect Episode 9 is going to go this way. We have no fucking idea.
No,
I don't know about you,
I agree.
but we have no idea. There's no logical way that like I could work out what is going to happen.
Yeah.
Everything you thought, a big battle between Snoke and Luke and all, like that's gone. That's not going to happen. Everything that we expected to see in a final chapter is gone. So I don't know. It puts me in a really great position. I get to skip the trailer, get to walk into that movie on opening night and go, I have no fucking idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Let's just jump on the ride.
Yeah, I agree because, like, there are so many aspects of, like, other movies that are so predictable. I think Infinity War, even though it's subverting expectations, as a person who knows comic books, I generally think I know what's going to happen. I mean, I can spoil it for you, but I don't want to spoil it for you.
With Endgame?
Yeah, with Endgame.
Yeah, no. So I'm pretty sure that like most of it's pretty well laid out. Everyone's arc's pretty well laid out. We know that chances are Tony and Steve aren't going to make it out of this one in one way or another.
Can I tell you my my speculation? So this is nothing. This is nothing with the comics. This is about like basically what they've set up in the story.
Yeah.
All right, and so spoilers for Ant-Man the Wasp and spoilers for Infinity War for anybody watching. But basically, so you know how like in the first Ant-Man, basically Hank Pym makes that big point where it's like, no, I will never let the Pym particle fall in the hands of a Stark. The Starks can never get his fucking hands on this. Like, there's no way. And keep in mind, aside from the fucking teaser trailer, I haven't seen anything about the movie or any set images or anything like that. I think what's going to happen is Ant-Man is going to be the catalyst for interdimensional travel because, of course, we see from, the end credit scene from Ant-Man and the Wasp, he's stuck in the quantum realm, and basically, obviously, they're not going to tease that if they're not going to use him. I think what's going to happen is, so it'll operate basically on two fronts. I think that Ant-Man and Iron Man will basically work together, and it's basically Iron Man's obviously going to come back to Earth and shit, and going to save Ant-Man from the quantum realm. And is going to use his own technology in conjunction with the Pym particle, and they're going to use that to travel through different realities and times and universes and stuff, and assemble their own Infinity Gauntlet. I maybe like a suit that Iron Man makes, or maybe it's like their own gauntlet or something like that, but they will use that to fight Thanos. And in the real world, the Avengers will meet up with Captain Marvel, and basically that will be like the big fight scene where the Kree soldiers and Captain Marvel and everyone else in the Avengers that's still alive will fight Thanos. I think, and then, or it could be a thing where Thor is the one who goes back to the Velveteer because he has Stormbreaker and he has basically access to the Bifrost. He could ask, Peter Dinklage, assuming that he's like not dead, to make another Infinity Gauntlet, and that's how they basically get an Infinity Gauntlet, get the stones from other realities and stuff. But I think it'll be like one half like a buddy cop movie between Ant-Man and Iron Man, which I think will be really interesting because there's not really a way they can incorporate Ant-Man where it doesn't make any sense, where it makes sense other than that, in my opinion. And then like obviously like there'll be the textbook like closing loose ends and the kind of like intergalactic war movie for the other half of it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I've never really thought about it in terms of plot. So as I said, I haven't seen the teaser, so I don't really know. And I feel like it really doesn't give us too much to work off, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm expecting is looking at it in terms of arcs.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I'm concerned, Steve is going to die.
Oh, for sure.
I do not see a reality in which Steve is not a self-sacrificial death. Now, back in Infinity War, I'm 90% sure there was a phone call between Tony and Pepper where I'm almost 100% sure she was about to say she was pregnant. I'm almost there was, and it was cut off. So the way I say Tony's going to retire after this movie, he's going to, that's what he's going to do. So in terms of arcs, Cap has nothing left. He doesn't have anything. Like what's the name of his love interest? Peggy. She's dead. He's still a guy out of place, and I feel like he's gonna irreversibly die in this movie in a self-sacrificial thing, and I would be disappointed if that is not the case. Because there's someone to fill the Cap mantle instantly. We've got Bucky, we've got Sam. So looking at it in terms of arcs, like I'd like to see them spend a lot of the first half of the movie working through the fact that half the universe is gone. I think there's so much emotional mileage to get out of that. Because I was one of those people when I watched Infinity War, I was like, like at the ending and people were like fading to dust. And I was like, holy shit, they've actually done it. Because I knew knew that that was what was going to happen. The end of the movie, Thanos was going to win. There was no way Thanos was not going to win in a two-part thing. You can't have the heroes win and the heroes win again. It doesn't work. Thanos had to win. So, and then like obviously it got to Black Panther and Spider-Man, and then most people's reaction of like, okay, they're all coming back. But for me, like I had this thing recently where I was like, it wasn't about us. It wasn't about us seeing the characters die. It was about the characters seeing the other characters die.
Exactly.
And that's what it was about. So I'm keen to see going into this one how much mileage they can get out of the fact that so many people are gone. In just the world state, I want to see. It's the thing that made the Dark Knight movies and the Spider-Man movies the best superhero movies we've had, like the original Raimi Spider-Man movies, was the people on the street.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what superhero movies don't have enough of nowadays, and that's why Spider-Verse is so amazing. Spider-Verse gets it right.
And dude, the most interesting part of Infinity War, I mean, one of the most interesting parts, the post-credit scene, we see in the moment what happens in the real world. The helicopters are crashing, planes are crashing, cars are crashing, people are like don't know what the hell is happening. Like and like I was afraid that would be like it was a self-contained thing, and obviously like everyone's like gonna be fine except for the Avengers. They show the entire universe experienced what the Avengers experienced.
So much mileage we can get from that. I don't know if you've ever watched I don't know if you're familiar with the TV show The Leftovers.
Oh yeah. Dude. I have mixed feelings about it. Yeah, I've watched the entire thing. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, no, so that's my favorite TV show of all time, right? It's actually my favorite thing anyone is. I fucking love that show more.
It's so fucking dark. I love it. To be fair, I fucking love it. Yeah.
But like the opening of that, capturing that feeling, like the parents are gonna lose kids. There's so much stuff to draw out of that Marvel could. I don't know if they will. I don't know if I could trust Marvel after all this time to do it, but they could take it to the next level with that. And I want to see them get that mileage out of it, because people are not expecting to walk into this next movie because of the ending of the last one. Go, all right, good time. We're going to have a couple of laughs and everything's going to be all good. I think people are expecting a more hardcore experience than we've had. So I want them to see them capitalize on that. I want to see Cap die. I want to see Tony retire. I want to see formation of the new Avengers. I want Thanos to realize that. So I don't think Thanos is going to realize he's wrong, because as was kind of in your video, he's not technically wrong. He just has to what do you have to have in your head to yeah, man, I can kill like half of all people, and that's totally cool.
Yeah.
I want him to have a moment where he's like, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
And I want him to, there needs to be something like that.
Maybe Thanos doesn't realize that he's wrong, but it's like maybe he realizes that, okay, even though my way works, like there is another way that's not really ending in bloodshed that could have accomplished the same thing. Like that. Or it's
a realization that like I can't do this to other people.
Yeah.
Like I want him. That needs to be the realization, I think, or something like that. There's a lot of, obviously a lot of people are going to come back. I want Loki to stay dead. I want Gamora to stay dead. I want there to have been some consequence along the way. But, obviously pretty much everyone's going to come back. As I said, I hope that Cap dies in a way that he can't come back from. Because I feel like having a cry. An authentic cry where I'm like, it's not like a halfway through a tear and then that's honestly once Black Panther faded, I was like halfway through a tear and then it rolled back up into my eyes. And then after I watched the movie again, and I was like, I get it now with the characters. It's about watching the people. It's about the reaction as opposed to the act. I want to see Thanos have that kind of some form of moment, and then I'll be satisfied. As I said, I highly doubt that I won't walk out of this with it not being my favorite Marvel movie.
Me too.
Just have Iron Man thrown after a while, but yeah. So I think they've got a lot to play with. I've never really thought about it in plot terms, like you said, though, in terms of how they're actually going to do it.
Because honestly, okay. I thought they were going to do a thing where it's like, oh, we have 4 of the 5 Dragon Balls. We can kill Thanos at the end of the movie. But literally, it took a lot of fucking bravery from Marvel. I mean, obviously, I told you I'm a comic book fan, but I know that the movies aren't perfect. But they did a ballsy thing, just zooming on his face and that fucking pretentious little smile he gives. Like
Yeah.
ends. And obviously have to do a post credit scene. It's a Marvel movie, but like, so what I was thinking when they first did the movie is like, obviously like in the Infinity War storyline, like in the comics, like they zoom in on his hands and it snaps,
Yeah.
and so the comic ends. What I thought they were gonna do, honestly, and would have been like crazy, is if they just cut to black, the movie's over, no credits, no post credit scene, the movie just finishes at the snap. I thought they were gonna do something like that. Like that would have been crazy, but like the fact that they still ended it on a really brave note was pretty
Yeah.
nuts. So like I honestly like I'm only putting it together because like I'm using the context clues from like Ant-Man and the Wasp and things that have been
Yeah.
set up, but like honestly like I can speculate all the live long day. I have no fucking idea what's gonna happen. I'm just like using context clues. Like so, but honestly that's what I like about it. Like there isn't like a set way for these people to win. It's literally it's like okay, there's a couple routes that you can maybe surmise, but until you actually see the movie, you have no fucking idea what's gonna happen, which is the most exciting part of it.
Yeah, I think that's it. Like not knowing and knowing that it's not going to have a standard story structure as well.
Yeah.
They can't have a thing where like I don't know. Doctor Strange is when I was like super excited for, it, and then like I was like, oh my god, is this going to be non-linear? Because the trailer single match cuts throughout the movie, like and then like you saw the movie and it's like it's very A to B.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, So I'd be interested to see how it goes, but. God, you got me talking about more Marvel than I'd usually get around, so this is impressive on its own.
Dude, it's like I'm not doing it just because like you don't like Marvel. I like Marvel.
No,
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's fun to talk about. I like talking about the movies more than I like watching them.
Sure.
I think that it's a weird thing that I have that with a lot of movies nowadays though. I didn't necessarily like love the experience of watching them, but talking like Buster Scruggs that just came out. Like I didn't really love watching the movie, but I love thinking and talking about it. You know what I mean? And for me, half the time that's just as good.
Yeah, for sure.
To be able to have the conversation afterwards about it and kind of develop it when you talk about it with other people. So
yeah, and I feel like like I'm not a sycophantic comic book fan where it's like if you hate the movie, I want to fucking kill your family and I hate
Yeah.
you. But
it's a rare thing. It's a rare thing. It's most people these days.
Yeah, man. So we've been talking for like an hour and 20, so thank you for coming on. But like I wanted to finish off at this point here. Who's a creator, and it could be a director, it could be a YouTuber, it could be a writer, it could be some just general content creator that inspires you, but also encourages you to be better than you currently are for what you want to do with directing or writing or even just YouTube. Like, who's a creator that like, and it doesn't even have to be in film. It could be in music. It could be Brockhampton for all I know. But like, what's a content creator, an artist that like you really you watch them and you're like, fuck, I got to do better because like they're doing better.
I don't know. I have a lot because like obviously I've got my hands in like a couple of different fields. Like yeah, obviously there's Brockhampton, which is kind of explains itself in that video that I did. But that's a big one because you've got them, these guys just going out and getting shit done. They just hustle harder than it's just incredible.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Look, if I look at it in YouTube terms, movies with Mikey, so FilmJoy. I don't know if you're familiar with the channel at all.
I'm familiar with them. I got chirped in one of the comment sections my Thanos video. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, no. So,
but I like his channel though. It's very, very good. Yeah.
Yeah, Mikey. Mikey's been someone I've been watching for years, and I think he's been the creator that I've kind of him and Patrick Willems are like the two biggest. Like, they're my two biggest influences on the new channel.
Mm-hmm.
But watching Mikey's stuff, like, I think elevating. So many of us are doing video essays, and the idea of elevating the video essay into like when Mikey releases a video, I can sometimes not watch it for like 2 weeks because I'm trying to get myself in like a position where I watch them on TV. They're like these half-hour videos that I watch on TV. It's an event. I don't pick up my phone while I'm watching them. I just sit there and cop someone who's educating me through a format that's creative and entertaining, and his content is what I aspire to. Like when he's got this positive way of talking about movies and whatever he chooses to pick, but it's it's entertaining, it's full of personality, and it feels like each video you're watching isn't just someone getting the information across in a well-designed way, in kind of the way that I feel like maybe Nerdwriter does, who is, I think, the person that most people who do this video essay thing, that's like our benchmark is Nerdwriter. You know, we all come in, we've all doing the Nerdwriter voice, we've all kind of got that lean to it. But no, Movies with Mikey is a show that has like really changed. I think his show was what got me out of the reaction and review game on YouTube and got me into wanting to do the essay thing. Is like,
Yeah.
there's so many interesting ways that we can talk about movies and get people excited and get people involved and get people. I think empathy towards movies is what I've been chasing. This idea of like empathy towards the creators. You know, even when you watch a bad movie, that person would have loved making that movie. They would have poured their heart into it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people know him now from his Thanos video, which is like the only video he's ever done where I was like, maybe not. But yeah, I think he's probably my go-to. Anyone watching who doesn't know about Movies with Mikey, go and check out his video.
It's really
on,
good. Yeah, he is good stuff. Yeah.
Hang on, I'm trying to think of which video is the top recommend. Probably The Force Awakens. His Force Awakens video is like one of the best YouTube videos ever made. So anyone go check that out.
I've seen his other stuff. I don't think I've seen Force Awakens though. I'll put that on my bookmark though.
Force Awakens, Interstellar, and Prisoner of Azkaban. Especially if you're someone who is on the fence with The Force Awakens and Interstellar. His videos, I feel like have the...
Yeah, I love Interstellar. Force Awakens, not that keen on.
You're all good then. You'll be fine. But his videos got the potential to get anyone who's like on the fence to watch it, and they're like, oh, that's the real deal. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interstellar love. We're here.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, like Movies with Mike is a great one. Honestly, I mean, like to suck your dick a little more, I think you're probably one of my biggest inspirations, like to make myself better, because like, you know, and it's like, it's not like I'm like jealous of you, but it's like I said this, so I'm a host on the Secret Podcast. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter. I'm a main host of that podcast now. I asked Alex from High Top when he was on a question where it's like, you see something and it's not like you are angry with the person that like, you know, made it. You watch that and it's so perfect for your fucking style. You're like, fucking hell, I wish I made that. You know what I mean? Where it's like, like some of those editing choices you make, like in the Brockhampton video, I watched that and I'm like, God damn it, that's so fucking good. But yeah, like you're one of them. I'm a big fan of Alex from High Top. I mean,
dude, his stuff, like, because I've only just come across him this year, and honestly, like, if I was putting down like the best video to come out of YouTube in 2018,
Batman.
It's been Batman Does Not Count.
It's fantastic.
Video is fucking phenomenal. Like,
yeah, it's so good.
Like, so good. Yeah. Yeah, he's been a big one this year who I've been like watching. I don't know, just quickly, like, do you ever have a thing like when you're writing a script for a video where like you don't want to like piss people off? Like, you've got a thing where like, I better not say that because someone's gonna like click off the video if I say that, or someone's gonna disengage. Like, I just watching Alex's stuff and seeing someone who gives
zero fucks, not a single fuck,
because it's so obvious that he cares so much. It's like, that's what I aspire to, man.
Yeah,
that's what I aspire to be able to say, because in real life I'm like, no, YouTube has made me like more kind of chill, I guess, and more, but like I aspire to just be able to fucking like flame on and just power through. That's my goal, man. He's a legend.
Oh, for sure. And it's like, it helps that I agree with him about basically all the points he makes and stuff. But it's like, you know, someone who literally has the balls to fucking just come out and do that. Like, you know, that's something you really only see with like political commentary. You don't see it with like film commentary, which is like so fascinating. And I've gotten some pretty visceral debates with people on Alex's Twitter feed that I've spanked a few people on his Twitter feed about like some of their hot takes. Like I don't know if you saw my tweet that I did where it's like someone had a fucking really scathing fucking comment on one of Alex's videos, and I did this this GIF and I said, Alex, make subjective opinion. Triggered fan, and that's Kermit like typing on the keyboard.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did see that pop up. Yeah.
But it's like, dude, it's like, fuck, man. Like, he's not coming at it from a place of malice. He's literally just trying to make the movies that he wants to love better. And so it's like, to come at him with like hate, it's like that you're proving his point for him. Like,
yeah, exactly. That's literally it every time. So many of us coming out here like trying to do it, and people coming at it and being like flaming torches and pitchforks and shit. Like,
like fuck.
Yeah, it's like you're defeating the purpose of the conversation we're trying to have.
No, for sure. And then for directors, I mean, like, Damien Chazelle is obviously a huge one. Like, he's just incredible.
For me as well, man.
Denis Villeneuve, I think he's like, you know, someone that I watch their stuff and I'm like,
how,
like,
how is it all so different and all so good?
Like he did Prisoners, Enemy, fucking Blade Runner 2049, and Arrival, like the same guy, and it's like, how? Like, I there is no circumstance in any other universe where the director can make all four of those films that are completely different and have them all be fantastic, but they all are.
Apart. Each of them a year apart. He did the back to back. He was doing them 18-month turnarounds pretty much on each of them. I'm like, how is that possible?
It's nuts. Like,
he's a madman. Time off, man. That he has the hardest like hustle of any director out there right now. It's insane.
Yeah,
insane. He's right up there. Nolan's right up there. Steve McQueen for me is one where I'm like, every time he makes a movie, I'm like, where are you pulling this shit from? Where the fuck did this come from?
Yeah, dude. Shame, for example, like Shame is like that's a fucking hard movie to watch, man. It's like really disturbing, but fuck, that movie's so good. Like Michael Fassbender's performance is like.
Shame's the movie that's the biggest influence on like the way I make films. That's in like my top 5 movies of all time. Like that, after seeing that movie, it's just something I never heard of. It was on my laptop on a day that I had my wisdom teeth taken out. So sit down, like, might as well watch a movie. And I watched that. Wait,
you were viked up and you watched fucking Shame?
Yeah, I watched that in The Social Network for the first time back to back. And somehow came out of it going, like, after watching The Social Network and only wanting to talk to people about Shame. I'm like, has anyone else seen this thing? Has anyone seen this movie? It's the best thing I've ever seen. So that movie, I owe a lot to that movie. But he's in terms of directors, and then obviously Alfonso Cuarón as well.
Yeah.
Just fucking. I don't know if you've seen Roma yet, but like as someone who's been a fan of everything he's ever done, and then turning around and making Roma, I'm like, is this even you? Is this even the same director?
Is it really? I haven't seen it yet. Is it really good?
Oh man, it almost threw me off. Like I didn't watch a trailer, and I almost wish I'd prepped myself because it took me so long to be like, this is not what I expected at all. I knew it was going to be slower paced, but like there's no subjective camera work for the entire film. It's entirely omniscient.
Really?
And I was not expecting that at all. It's shot like a movie from the 60s, and it's like
wow,
what? And then
that's
after
crazy.
It finished, I was like, that might be the best thing that's ever been made by a human being. I don't know. Anyway.
No, for sure. Also, another YouTuber that I really like, I'm That Robbie. Like, even though I disagree with a lot of like his points about like the DCEU and a couple things here and there, like it's so fascinating because like he's someone that I disagree with quite often, but I still love his fucking videos and I still appreciate all the stuff that he makes because it's like, you know, like. If I disagree with you and you still make a cogent argument where I can be like, you know what, you kind of have a point. Like that proves you're a really good content creator, like for sure.
That's where you want to be as a creator. That's where you want to be as a creator is you want to have people watching because of what you have to say and not because of the content itself. You don't want people watching just because of the topic. You want to have people watching because you have to say. I mean, spoiler alert, I don't know how many of my own videos I watched, but I'm not meant to announce this before. After I do the La La Land video, I'm doing one on BBS. I'm doing Why I Love BBS, which is amazing because I hate the movie. So I'm like,
really?
I want people to not. Yeah, I'm gonna try to convince myself I love it by like talking myself through it and trying to pick out the good stuff. And try to go through that process. I'm gonna try to get Robbie in on that video because I know that he's someone who loves it and try to go through the process of a movie that people are divided over and try to work out how I can convince myself that I love it. That's what I aspire to is to be able to make a video like that and my own viewers to not be like, oh, fuck you. Like I want to be able to, get to the stage where I can do something like that and my viewers to watch because they want to hear what I have to say, not because, of the content that I'm making.
Yeah.
So yeah,
exactly.
That's the goal.
Yeah,
that's the goal.
And it's like people love to be agreed with. People love to have their viewpoints validated. So when you still make something that's palatable, even if people disagree with your certain take, that proves you're a great content creator. So hopefully I get to that point. I mean, you're probably close to that point. And Robbie, obviously, I'm a big fan of. So like he already is at that point. Yeah.
His channel's based on that.
Yeah, literally, yeah. Subversive opinion, and then literally like middle finger, like I know you're gonna fucking agree with me, even in a couple of these points. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's it. Hey man, thanks so much for having me on. It's been a blast talking to you and getting to know you.
No,
So
for sure, man. I definitely want to do this again sometime. And
for
yeah,
sure, man.
yeah.
For sure. I also we'd love to have you on Film Hub at some point. Obviously, the early stages of getting it worked out, but I'd love to have you on for an episode. You know, we're gonna have like a bit of a rotating roster, but it's not, obviously not always gonna have all six of us, but we want to
Yeah.
get people in. So man, as soon as we're like ready to start opening that up straight away,
Yeah.
get you on
Yeah.
there.
Yo, I need you to roast me. Just fucking just roast me.
That's it. We'll actually disable like so you can't say anything and you
Oh
just
yeah,
have to
exactly.
sit. Yeah.
Yeah. Mute me, but it's like my microphone's still activated, so my face just pops up like.
Yeah, and we'll just sit there and just roast you and
Oh yeah. So yeah, tell the people watching who are gonna watch this where to find you.
Okay, so yeah, two channels. Breaking Banter is my review channel. Loverboy Media is my essay channel. You can find me on Twitter at Loverboy Media. And yeah, that's probably you don't want to find me on any other social media because it's all just drunk videos. So,
All right, well, you heard
yeah,
the man.
that's it. That's it. Yeah.
All right, well, you heard the man. Well, this is the Lone Chemist Podcast. This is episode 16, and this is Bailey from Breaking Banter and Loveboy Media. Thanks a lot, brother, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks a lot, man. Ciao.
Peace.